Okay, before we continue this, I do have to put out a bit of a warning for you guys. You may have noticed it just by the time of this upload, but as predicted with the thumbnail used from the previous video, my scheduling privileges have been revoked, so I have to manually release stuff for the next 30 days unless I monetize. So, yeah. That is the sad note I have to use to lead off with this. But anyway, let's get back to the game. Riding to the Ermengarde mansion in their rice is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other at any time. Nobody is saying anything. Up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think that he might start. But instead, he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, here, Hans. We're going to go in. But I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scouts a property and circles a perimeter on foot.
Well, you can stand on your hands if that makes you feel any better.
You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand. Again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there is a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there is little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that can both have form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Oh, no, you're not getting away from him that easily, Marianne. Alright, just because there's one troublesome client shouldn't mean I'll let him get in the way of my work. The parlor is my first destination. Mostly because I figure Mr. Wright is hiding down in the wine cellar and making plans there. I'm going to bump into him sooner or later, but I'd rather make it later. Much, much later. The place upon closer inspection is in good shape. I don't doubt this place was done with the most care, considering it would be one of the first rooms visitors would see during the open house. There's a stain on the carpet, most likely by one of the guests at the time, but it isn't anything a good cleaning can't get rid of. Next is the music room. Or at least that's the plan.
Locked? Oh, come on now.
I rattled the doorknob again, harder this time to double check, and even give it a good budge to see if it isn't a problem with the door itself. But no, definitely locked. That is weird considering the rest of the rooms aren't. It could just be this one though, and I can try the other door through the ballroom if I really want to get in. And that's when I hear it. The sound of a piano. Though it just plays one note over and over again, it makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand, and I back away from the door. Though I wasn't exactly the superstitious sort, what am I going to do? The room is locked. I can just go back to it later, maybe see if I can go through the ballroom and... The music room door opens, and who else but Luke Wright stands by the doorway. He looks a lot like a cat that ate a canary, and I didn't appreciate the way his eyes linger on me.
Isn't it common sense the locked doors mean someone wants a bit of privacy? You didn't try and break the door down. Or did you just want to see me again that badly without the missus? I'm still up for a shag if that's what you're after. Pretty sure the wine cellar is soundproof if you fancy a snog and a poke.
I'm here on business, Mr. Wright. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, if you can let me pass, I need to inspect the music room as well.
I'm not looking for trouble, but trouble always seems to find me anyway. He leans against the doorframe, crosses his arms, and plasters a huge grin on his face. The way he looked at me promises nothing good. But really, how big of a scumbag can one person be?
Oh, sure, you're some fancy interior designer. But mix in some booze and you really loose it up, don't you? Working woman by day, working girl by night.
I'm not. I'm no such thing. Don't you fucking dare continue down that line of thought. I'm not what you suggest I am. I am not some whore you can just leer at and proposition. If anybody here is morally reprehensible, it's you cheating on your wife. And if you don't stop this harassment, I'll...
Tell the wife? Good luck with that.
You're terribly confident for a lecherous cheat.
Do you honestly think you're the first woman that threatens to go running to her claiming something or another about me? You think you're some special snowflake and that you're the first woman that I've slept with?
My hands shake. I have to remind myself that I would get nothing out of hitting him. Nothing but satisfaction, at least.
Tell her. But who will she believe? Her darling husband? Or the hired help? Oh, Buttercup, She's probably trying to make us pay up, or she'll create a scandal. Stay quiet, you can go on with your life with no trouble.
And if I talk? Even if your wife doesn't believe me, I can get people talking. What then?
Oh, people gossip all the time. It's hardly anything new. But still, if you talk, I will ruin you.
The way he says it, promises it, makes my blood run cold.
Now, why don't you run along and do whatever silly job you have to do? I'll just be here in the music room if you change your mind about a shag.
Fucking asshole.
Scum of the earth he is. How could you just let him talk to you like that?
I should ask you to figure out who the voice is just yet. Okay, so forget about going into the music room then. That's fine, he'll have to go out there sooner or later. In the meantime, I can go around and check the rest of the house. All my worries fade when I step into the ballroom. And, well, the whole place is just grand, isn't it? I can see why the Wrights made sure nobody else would take this place from them. Anyone who has it will certainly be the belle of the ball. It's pretty much one great big status symbol. I don't think I can do much of a thorough inspection in this room, so I note it down for later. Moving on to the kitchens, I check the ventilation and the general fire safety in the kitchen. This bit is important for a place this size. I would of course suggest bringing an actual fire safety inspector over for a more detailed inspection. It wouldn't do to see such beautiful architecture go up in flames after all. I take measurements of the countertops and cabinets, note down what type of wood they use. They want some of these recreated to hide modern appliances. There's a loose floorboard in the farthest corner, and some of the others had scratches, but everything else seems to be in decent shape. My concentration is broken when someone knocks.
You can come in. Door's not locked.
I wait, expecting Mrs. Wright or their butler to come in, but nobody entered. Instead, there's that knocking again. It's louder and more urgent this time, and I'm pretty sure I didn't lock the thing.
All right. I'm coming. Just hold on.
When I moved open the door, though, I realized something. The knocking isn't coming from the door, but from somewhere else. The trap door? I pause for a second, waiting, but the knocking has not ceased. And soon enough, it becomes desperate. The dull thuds from before switching to what seems to be scratching. Desperate and insistent at once, as if grasping for a spite.
Is somebody stuck down there? Dick!
Where did that come from? How did it even get down there? That put the heart crossway in me, it did. I love cats, but they have no business giving people a fright. For a second there, all those ghastly rumors about this place have come flooding back. Now, peering into the darkness of the open trap door gets me thinking. And it gets me curious. Seriously though, I should really make sure that there aren't any more surprises from down under. I don't think the Wrights would appreciate it if we find a litter of kittens making a house of the wine cellar. Mr. Wright seemed the type to skin a cat if any of his precious wines were to be contaminated. I'm done with the kitchens anyway. Going down a flight of stairs while wearing high heels is always a bad idea. Descending into the dark underground only made it worse, but I managed anyhow without any major slip-ups.
These stairs need work, that's for sure.
Surprisingly, the wine cellar is in a good condition. No water damage from last year's flooding, and apart from the dust and cobwebs that have accumulated, the place will likely hold for several years more. Racks and barrels line the walls, making the spacious room look smaller than it is. I'm no expert, but it looks good enough for immediate use without any further additions. Bloody whiskey will be having a field day. I think so anyway, until I feel something crunch beneath my feet. Whatever few bottles were left behind here are now nothing but glass under my heels. The cat's fault, I'd wager. And it made a downright mess with red slick pooling from the remnants of a good drink. There's a lot of the stuff for it to have just been a few bottles, though. A whole trail of it flows from the end of the room, and I follow, expecting a leaking barrel or a whole upturned rack. Instead, it just keeps on going, and it stops in a large puddle at the very back wall.
What a waste of wine. Why is it so sticky, though? Ugh.
It's thick, too. Nothing like wine. Of course, it could just be mold.
Maybe it's not wine. Go on, touch it. I dare ya.
Hey, we can see her now. Despite it all, I find myself answering. because it's her voice. Amy Lorraine. Lovely Amy, pretty Amy. I can imagine her standing there with me, laughing and pestering me as I did my work in the way only friends can. She was my friend, the only one that I had at St. Something's. I was a scholar, the charity case, in a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her. Sometimes I wish for the good old days when we were friends. Now she's nothing but a ghost. Though I try so hard to get over her. I really, really do.
What am I, 5 years old? Oh, damn it, it's stuck under my shoe.
I double dare you. Hell, I double dog dare you. Don't be such a scaredy cat. It's probably wine. What else could it be? Blood?
Don't be ridiculous. Why would there be blood down here?
If I was the joking sort, I would have said it might be the reason why the previous owners sold the place. Maybe the ghost stories are actually true and they wanted to get away from the walls that dripped of ectoplasmic goo and whatever other ghouls haunted about. Doubt it. I hardly believe in any of that voodoo nonsense as it is. But as I stare at the mess at my feet, probably looking like a fool while I'm at it, I notice something strange. It isn't visible unless one is really paying attention. I can see the red gunk seeping through a crack in the wall.
What's this then?
I worry about structural damage and damage to the foundation. I worry about the wine cellar, as the wrong conditions can lend to its deterioration of its contents if temperatures and humidities are not controlled. Up until I see how clean cut the crack is. It runs along the edge of the wall and vertically along it, where a door would be. Pressing my hand against the wall lends credence to the idea as I try to feel where it would give way.
Ooh. Could it be an adventure then? A secret passage? There must be a hidden switch somewhere. Go look. This is the most interesting thing you've done by far.
If there's a hidden room here, that could certainly explain the discrepancy in the mansion's floor plans. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that there could be hidden rooms and passageways all over the house, if we were to follow that logic. And boy, isn't that exciting. This feels like something straight out of a game. Suddenly she touches my arm and I flinch away in shock. That shouldn't be possible. I understand auditory hallucinations, maybe even visual hallucinations. But that was...
You look surprised. What's wrong?
You? That's not possible. You're...
Dead.
Aren't you happy to see a dear old friend, though? I'm hurt, I am.
What the hell is going on here?
Oh, isn't it obvious? I've come back for you, so that we can be together again.
Huzzah! When she touches me once more, I recoil. What does she mean, together again? She's dead.
No! Leave me alone!
Leave you alone? But I just got here.
Turning around, I'm met with the Wright's butler, who looks at me with an indifferent look. And when I look back, Lorraine is gone.
I wasn't talking to you, just thinking aloud is all.
Or she could have just said, I thought you were Mr. Wright, and he'd understand.
You should really avoid talking to yourself, Kint. Do more of that and others will think you're insane.
Yes, thank you. Is that all you're here for, or has your master sent you running down here for something?
Oh, no, I am just down here to admire the place. I've not been inside before. I thought I would look around before we return to the city. The car is already running, you see, and I suggest you go back to the foyer, unless you wish to be left behind. It seems you are in good company already, after all, with this house and your imaginary friend.
Wait, we're leaving already? But I haven't finished inspecting the rest of the house.
Be that as it may, there's a sulking man-child up there who wishes to go home. We are all subject to his whims, lest he throw a tantrum.
I can't help but smile at that. He's a strange guy. I still can't imagine how he can work for a guy like Luke Wright, though. I imagine the blonde arse ain't exactly an easy guy to get along with. Whoever the butler is having to tolerate that, I want 10 of it.
And we wouldn't want any soiled knickers or spilled milk. Why don't you go head on and I'll be right there.
Very well. Do be careful on your way back. I saw some broken glass on the way, and it would not do to cut yourself on them.
I will, yeah. Just tell Mr. Wright not to blow a gasket or anything. I'll be just a minute.
Speaking of blowing gaskets, there's something else dangerous here. Whatever is behind that door could pose some problems. Best case scenario, it'd only ruin good stocks of wine. But who knows what's behind that false wall? I'll have to come back to it. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The cellar greets me ominously as I descend. The space feels smaller, with a lot more bottles lining the wall compared to before, and knowing what might be waiting for me here makes things worse. I almost hope, in a morbid and twisted sense, that Lorraine would just be standing there waiting for me. It would be just like her to joke about inappropriate meeting in dark, secluded areas. But just like the broken bottles and wine that was spilled on the ground before, no trace of her can be found.
Lorraine! Where are you, Lorraine? I miss you, you know?
Only silence replies. Funny that when you want to find something, that's the time when you can't. The thought that I wouldn't be able to see Lorraine one last time fills me with such despair. Sure, it was crazy to come here willingly in the first place, but all I'm really looking for is closure. And if I can't see her, the least I can do is offer her a prayer. On the verge of tears, I kneel in the middle of a dark, damp wine cellar and put my hands together in prayer.
May God grant her eternal rest and...
That is when her laughter fills the air. It rings along the walls until it echoes in my head, and like a siren song, it draws me in before it comes to a stop upon reaching a dead end.
Ooh, could it be an adventure then? A secret passage? There must be a hidden switch somewhere. Go look! This is the most interesting thing you've done by far.
A secret entrance, although the idea in and of itself is inane, only makes the entire endeavor even more perilous, but I need to find a way to open it. Already I'm running my hands against the wall in order to find some sort of hidden switch. It didn't give when I tried to push it open before, and I doubt that would have changed anytime soon. But if there's a door, there's always a way to open it, hopefully without need to break it down.
A shame I can't roll for perception checks in real life.
It's such a silly thing to say out loud, though there is no amusement on my face, and I do check, glancing at the mirror from the study.
Though a sanity check would be more fitting right now, wouldn't it?
Those are no fun, keep going. I mean, how long have I been down here, searching for the switch of a hidden door? In order to go find a dead girl, no less. It isn't only unreasonable, it's insane. At this point, they'll find me clawing at the walls, using my nails to try and see if there are any grooves or catches I might have missed. I'm surprised I haven't gone past the 10 minutes that was given me, and that I'm not being hauled out of here. I don't want to bank on the chance that I have more time, although I know it's... I really shouldn't let these kinds of things bother me too much right now. If I don't continue looking, there's no point in me going down here. Dirt and rocks stick underneath my nails in my search, but there. A section of the wall about the size of my palm and just as well hidden as the hollow wall is a switch, or a button rather.
Face it, Tigress. You've just hit the jackpot.
The excitement I feel at the discovery finds me pressing it without a second thought. But when a click echoes in the cellar and the hidden door creaks open, I stop. What should I do? No time like the present, eh? I have to hurry and... I turn around when there's a crash. In my haste, I bumped into the mirror, making it fall to the ground and shatter into 100 pieces. And shit. I hope that isn't an original piece. I don't think my insurance will be able to cover it. I can probably find an imitation to replace it and... Behind closed doors unlocked. The door slams shut behind me, and I nearly have a heart attack because of it. But when I see a much more visible lever on this side, I calm down and shake my head. On the other side is a passageway, an underground tunnel that has me mystified for a mere moment until I realize what it holds. Cells closed off by heavy iron bars line the sides. A general sense of death and decay lingers heavy, though the years should have taken away most, if not all, of the stench. Of the foul smell, a of humans and corpses alike being left to rot. The breeze, most likely coming from the other end of the passage, that goes through is to thank for that. If the place had been enclosed like a mausoleum, I imagine the odor would be fouler than it is now.
Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless these poor souls.
Okay, I give up on trying to track all these saints, I'm sorry. Every single time something happens, she calls out for a different one. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Though the architecture of their time was magnificent, human rights wasn't exactly a big thing back then. And if the Ermengarde mansion had a place like this hidden away, who knows what sorts of heinous acts were done down here. There's no time to dwell on it further, though. Not when... A ghastly thing. A corpse of a woman leans on the wall. Her arms and limbs, almost every inch of her lithe body, is peppered with wounds and rotting flesh. And it is then the putrid smell of blood and gore hits me, making it so that I don't even question how I missed it in the first place.
How long has this been here? Oh, that smell. Oh, you're a nasty one, aren't you?
I flinch as the thing twitches. And as soon as it opens its eyes and looks at me with a smile, there's nothing on my mind but horror. I break into a run. I try to keep on running, no matter how much my legs and feet scream at me to stop. I keep going, even when I look back and see nothing of her anymore, because I can still hear her. The scampering of her feet, the words she tries to form with her bloodied mouth, and the painful sounds of bones grinding against each other as she moves closer and closer to me.
How long are these damn tunnels?
There's a split second where I know that thing is right behind me, a strange sensation creeping over my limbs when her presence looms over me. And then suddenly... I can't even do anything before I'm yanked by the hair and pulled back. Still, I struggle up until I'm thrown to the side like some rag doll. I hit the ground on my side, and the musty smell of old hay that reaches me is my only indication that I'm still alive.
Please don't hurt me.
My body hurts, and I keep my eyes shut, afraid of what might happen next.
What's wrong, Marianne? Are you really afraid of little old me?
There's a flash of hope. She can help me, save me from that thing. But as I see her smile, the same one that thing has, I know then that this isn't Lorraine. I'm a fool to think so in the first place. It never could have been her to begin with. The real Lorraine is dead. Goodbye, my first love unlocked. She looms over me, backs me further in the cell that I was thrown in.
What are you?
Lorraine turns and shifts into that thing from before. And with that same gruesome grin, it takes a step forward towards the cell. Towards me. I barely scramble to my knees when the door to the cell slams shut and it just stands there, staring. Shouts for help ring out in the tunnels, but none of them are coming from me. I'm more paralyzed and shocked by what is happening. My throat tightens at being fooled by the image of Lorraine, at the thought of being trapped down here. So then where?
Help me! Help me! Oh, help me! Are you getting all this on camera, Carl? Yeah, but are you guys sure this is a good idea? We're breaking and entering here. Don't worry, the owners of this place haven't been here in a long time. Look at this thing, though! It has writing in blood like some cheesy 80s horror prop. Wait, I have an idea. Oh man, that's genius!
Aha, I get it.
What kind of butthead would even take this thing seriously? Maybe we can stick this in Rowan's backpack. That's where his kid would panic. Guys?
Prank gone wrong unlocked.
What? Spit it out! Behind you!
There in the corner of the cell, a digital camera comes flickering to life, and a video has played back on the screen. It was hard to even consider paying any attention to it when my life is on the line. But when the ghost doesn't move and the teenagers' mocking shouts of "help me" filled the cell, I just had to watch. And what I had seen, students judging by their St. Goretti uniforms, they were holding...
That letter.
And that thing, the woman, she... So I'm not gonna mention what exactly they did. If you just think about it, you can probably guess what it was they did, and that was a real scumbag move. But anyway, that is it for now. I'm going to review the branching paths and decide what to do from here. The endings will probably be uploaded the following day. But it looks like this is a surviving route, so I need to find out how to get down here. So we'll probably be going for the other one once I figure it out. Anyway, I'm the Dark Hero. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.